Yeah. Well, that takes us off to our next topic, which
Right.
I know, Tom, you want to sort of talk a little bit about. Not specifically you, but you were mentioning it, which is
Yeah, I alluded to
uh,
it. Yeah.
new comments by DC Studios head, because obviously it's not just James Gunn's like the front man, but Peter Safran is co-CEO, co-head, has came out and said Batgirl shelving it was the right decision, and says DC Studios it would have hurt DC. Basically, it was unreleasable. So let's just quickly have a rundown of this. So obviously, you've heard that side of it from Leslie Grace talking about the fire and the action and the fire with practical action
Yeah.
and the practical fire with that action, just to bring that right home. But now we have further comment, which is obviously from Peter Safran. So Warner Brothers faced controversy when they axed Batgirl. I said at the time, I was the only person saying it. I had a source that had seen the film and said it was garbage. They said it was utter garbage. And I came out and was like, look, everyone saying that the test screening was good is a liar. It's garbage. And I got so much flack for it. And then a few months later, it was completely canned. And I was like, oh, well, I was fucking right, wasn't I? I was the only one saying it. Anyway, but anyway, we have this comment. I have this comment from Peter Safran. Look, when I'm right, I'm right. From Peter Safran says, Batgirl is a character that inevitably we will include in our story. On the Batgirl front, it's not about late in the process of the film getting cancelled. I saw the movie, and there are a lot of incredibly talented people in front of and behind the camera on that film. But the film was not releasable, and it happens sometimes. That film was not releasable. I like how he says that twice. You know, just drive it home.
Drive that stake in.
We really is. But that film was not releasable, and it happens sometimes. That film was not releasable. Just twist that blade. I actually think that President and CEO of Warner Brothers, David Zaslav, and the team made a very bold and courageous decision to cancel it because it would have hurt DC. It would have hurt those people involved. We did it for your benefit. I think that they really stood up to support DC. The characters, the story, the quality of all that. I spoke to Adil and Bilal, the directors, last week. We were chatting. We'd love to be in business with all those folks. Christina Hodson wrote it. Terrible writer. Some people are already back in business with us. As I said, a lot of talented people were involved. But the film was just not releasable. That's the third time he said it. It would not have been able to compete in the theatrical marketplace. It was built for the small screen. So again, I think it was not an easy decision, but they made the right decision by shelving it. Thoughts, Tom?
Yeah, as we had said before, they canned this thing because it had a chance of making, of really hurting the DC universe, not only of what was upcoming, because clearly there's a separation there, but what is already out there and possibly, ruining whatever chances the DC universe has of a reboot at this point, I guess. I mean, am I surprised? No. But I mean, going back to the whole question of whether or not it'll see the light of day kind of thing we were talking about before, at this point, just about everybody else involved has moved on to bigger and better things anyway. So I don't feel bad for anybody involved. We just got an announcement this morning that Bad Boys 4 is now still going ahead, and I'd assume that the directors who directed this Batgirl will be directing that one too, since they directed the third one. They'd been attached to it already before this official announcement of it being back on, or whatever you want to call it. Brendan Fraser, as we just mentioned, has kind of gotten his comeback. I mean, really the only person who got the shaft in this situation would be the main star, and they've already said that she's kind of getting other chances. So yeah, like, again, I don't feel sorry for it, and Michael Keaton got paid. So I heard he got a nice fat payday for this, so I doubt he can. And he even flat out said, he doesn't really care because he doesn't watch these things anyway. So, I mean, I'm sure he's fine with it. In fact, it probably is better for him that it didn't come out. So I think at the end of the day, it's better for everybody involved. Everybody, I mean, from top to bottom, that this thing didn't come out. I mean, people are going to clamor for it for years and years and years, but it's going to be one of those things when it finally does leak out, like we said earlier. It's not going to be what everybody thought it was going to be. It's going to be like, Mystery Science Theater 3000 level type shit, probably. And we're going to see why it was shelved.
Well, I mean, it was initially made as an HBO Max film.
Exactly.
So,
beyond that, I mean, yeah.
Which is interesting, actually, when you look at it from that perspective, because the quality that you saw in that and that budget blew to like $90 million. It'll be interesting to see what they create now for HBO Max and James Gunn, if it's going to be of a similar quality, even if it has a similar budget. Because if it does, that's not good either, actually.
Yeah, I mean, but it looks like with the upcoming slate they got right now, it looks very budget conscious in comparison to something like this.
True.
Like even at a $90 million budget, if this thing was unwatchable, granted, $10 million of that reportedly was for Michael Keaton, so you had $80 million you spent on the rest of the cast and production. Damn. I mean, yeah.
I can't imagine Fraser commands a big budget.
Not yet at that point, because this was even before he'd had his little comeback. So I mean, he'd probably been lucky to get scale times 2 or 3, probably, maybe $1 million.
Yeah, that's true. Paulie, what do you think about hearing this? Because obviously Leslie Grace is your gal. So what do you think about hearing this?
Man, I was pulling stories and articles that are just came down the wire for you guys. So I really was letting you guys run with it.
Well,
I think it's pretty much all we all were kind of figuring this already, right? I mean,
kind of the same stuff, right? Yeah.
It just confirms what we had thought.
Yeah, I mean, it is literally just saying it was unreleasable. It wasn't good. It was unreleasable. It happens, but everyone's talented. I mean, yeah,
absolutely. If it was unreleasable, maybe it was a really bad script and you had really good actors saying and doing really stupid things. Would not be the first time. It's really hard to elevate bad material. And that lead always gets the full brunt. So, that's another saving grace for Leslie's career. Maybe they were thinking that like one of the, besides the tax write-off, is like, you know what, this could ruin her career as well.
Yeah, it's true.
It might be that bad. And maybe the one-on-one combat fights were cool, but she's also got to walk around and talk, and and maybe it was just they're like, they're putting out so many fires.
Yeah,
they were putting out so many fires, man. So yeah, that's my take.